play a game?
Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks for joining me again. We've got a great show today, as always. Get through some quick notes in a news segment, and then we're going to have Reese from Frontline Gaming out of California talking about Warhammer 40K and wargaming in general. These guys have a really cool store and Twitch channel, so looking forward to talking to them. But first, let me go through the housekeeping notes and hit up some news while we have the able-bodied and excellent Zach running things out of the producer's booth, the Starship Enterprise, as it were. Thanks for all your hard work, Zach. Zach's a hard-working college student, juggling many things, but he makes it happen. So we like Zach. All right, anyway, here's some quick notes. Always, you can go to shaneplays.com and that's Shane Plays, like I like to play stuff, not where I live, like my place. ShanePlays.com, and there's show notes up right now on the blog with links and things to what we're going to be talking about today, both in the news segment and in the interview. So if you want to know more, you missed something, you can go to ShanePlays.com and catch that. Also, remember, this show does go out as a podcast. Usually a couple of days after the show, depending. I'm kind of swinging towards getting it out on Mondays, but you can catch the podcast on my blog, on iTunes and Stitcher and other fine podcast directories. I also put it up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, so look for Shane Plays on YouTube. And I'm also got a Tumblr now that I'm putting it on, so it's just all over the place, just everywhere. But make sure to catch it as a podcast if you're not already. And we're also carried right now, a week delayed, but we're also working on getting it live on Krypton Radio. KryptonRadio.com is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. And now, Zach, it's time to let's listen in on that hard-working news team. There they go, working hard. I got a note from Sal. He's just about to got it worked out with a mob. So if you'll remember, the mob put out a hit on him, but it was all a big misunderstanding because he was doing a story about the mob of shoppers on Black Friday. But anyway, he said he's about got it set down with the big boss to work it out. So my first news note is this kind of a personal note, and it's kind of a Little Rock area note. Imagine Games in Sherwood, Imagine Hobbies and Games, is having a charity DM for a Difference RPG Day on December 12th. So not today, December 5th, but next Saturday on December 12th. And speaking of next Saturday, I'm going to have a guest host, Bill Brackeen, and he's going to have comics scribe John Ostrander on the show. So make sure to be listening for that. But December 12th, I'll be out of town for the first part of the day, doing a family Christmas thing. But Imagine Hobbies and Games in Sherwood, all day from 11 or 10 in the morning all the way till like 11 at night. It's going to be going a long part of the day. Come play role-playing games and help raise money for charity for Wendy's Fund. There's a person named Wendy that they're helping raise money for with some health bills. I guess they're connected with the game, the gaming community in the store in some sense. If you go to shaneplays.com, there's a link to the Facebook invite event. And then also you can go to Imagine Hobbies and Games, just look for them on Facebook. But I will be DMing a Castles and Crusades game starting at 7:00 that evening. I won't be there earlier in the day, but I'll be there later in the day. And the thing is, you come maybe make a donation or get people to sponsor you. Like they have these Walk for Lives or whatever. Hey, sponsor me for $1 a mile or whatever. This is you can try to get sponsored for every hour you play. But the point is, they're trying to raise $1,000 to help somebody with their health bills. So make sure to check that out. And I'll try to ask Bill to do another reminder for that next week. We just had this thing called the Games Awards 2015. And the game of the year is Witcher 3. So it won Game of the Year and also RPG of the Year. It seems like I haven't really heard a lot about the Games Awards, but it's like one of those things that comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about it. So maybe it's just been around and big, and I wasn't that aware of it. But it seemed like I saw a lot of news this year. There's a link on shaneplays.com from Screenrant, if you go there, and it shows all the winners and then all the different people that were in the different categories. And And this is kind of uncool news related to the Games Award 2015. VentureBeat, I've got a link from them on shaneplays.com on the show notes page. Hideo Kojima, and I'm probably saying that wrong, who is the creator of, Metal Gear Solid. Well, Metal Gear Solid 5 won a couple of awards, and there's been a split between Hideo Kojima and Konami, and Konami's lawyers told him he was not allowed to go pick up his awards at the Game Awards. So I don't know what all is going on there, but I'm sure legally they can say, hey, we have the right to blah, 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 but it sounds kind of jerky to me. That's all I got to say. So Metal Gear not solid on Konami's part. So last, I think that and I've got a picture if you go to shaneplays.com on the show notes, the statues were designed by Weta, W-E-T-A, the same people that did all the special effects and creature designs and everything for The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And the statues look cool. They look like kind of like space agey Oscar kind of thing. I really like it a lot. It has kind of a classic yet futuristic look to it. Very impressed. So, all right, next news item. The City of London is celebrating the Monty Python reunion by putting a 50-foot dead parrot in Pottersfield Park. And there's a link from Fast Company on shaneplays.com show notes. Why would they put a 50-foot dead parrot? Well, it's in honor of a very famous Monty Python sketch involving a dead parrot. And we've got a little excerpt from that sketch. Zach, hit us up with that.
Look, matey. This parrot wouldn't boo if I put 4,000 bolts through it. It's a bleeding demise.
It's not. It's pining.
It's not pining. It's passed on. This parrot is no more. It has ceased to be. It's expired and gone to meet its maker. This is a late parrot. It's a stiff. Bereft of life, it rests in peace. If you hadn't nailed it to the perch, it would be pushing up the daisies. It's run down the curtain and joined the crowd invisible. This is an ex-parrot.
The parrot is dead. So that's the point. Very, very classic skit from Monty Python. And I guess they're doing like a 50-year reunion celebration in London for Monty Python. I've always been a huge Python fan. Love all those guys. And that was the guy doing the majority of the speaking there was John Cleese. He was a very upset customer who bought a dead parrot at a pet store, and the guy was trying to convince him that it was either stunned or sleeping, or my favorite part, he said it's a Norwegian blue parrot, which is ridiculous in the first place, but he said it was pining for the fjords, and I just love that. So anyway, all right, moving on to some new movie and television news. I guess that was kind of television news with the Monty Python. The new Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice trailer is out. And you can find it. There's a link on the show notes page at shaneplays.com, or, just go to YouTube and search for Superman or Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice trailer number 2. It was just released 2 or 3 days ago. And it's like a 3-minute trailer. There's some cool stuff in it, but in my opinion, it gives away too much. I feel it's a bit spoilerific. And, one of my listeners and also one of the players in my D&D weekly D&D game, Otto, messaged me on Facebook and said, I hope you're going to mention the trailer in this one part about the trailer. Well, I'm actually not going to mention that part about the trailer because I feel it's a bit of a spoiler. But I will say that if you choose to watch it, if you choose to watch the trailer from a spoiler standpoint, you may be doomed. And I'll just leave it at that. So, but go, you'll probably go check it out. It is a good trailer. I just feel like they give away too much stuff. So here's cool. Speaking earlier, we were talking about Weta and Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and all that stuff. We got a news item from Krypton Radio. Peter Jackson is set to direct an episode of Doctor Who. Now, we don't have details on what season or what episode. We don't know anything. We don't know anything about it. We just know that I guess there's been talks for a couple of years between Stephen Moffat, involved with Doctor Who, and then Peter Jackson, who, of course, directed Lord of the Rings and those movies, to direct an episode of Doctor Who. And there's a very clever video up on YouTube that has Peter Jackson talking to his daughter, and then Capaldi as the Doctor shows up and delivers a contract for directing an episode to Peter Jackson. It's very clever. Last, we had some news. Well, not last, but getting close to finishing up. We had some news a few weeks back about Dragon's Lair, the video game, the kind of classic animated video game from the 80s. They had launched a Kickstarter to try to raise money to film a short segment to take to studios to try to raise money to do a full Dragon's Lair movie. And I guess they canceled the Kickstarter, but they've shifted to Indiegogo. This news is from Polygon, by the way. They've shifted to Indiegogo, and it's evidently doing better. And so it's not a done deal yet. So if you're interested in supporting a Dragon's Lair movie or a chance to make a Dragon's Lair movie, go check out that link. The link is, I mean, they're on Indiegogo, but there's a news story from Polygon on shaneplays.com show notes. At last, Zach, hit us up with the fanfare, the lovely fan. Oh yeah, there it is. Man, I love it. All right, let that one go a little bit longer than normal because I just love that music. But got a couple of pieces of Star Wars news to wrap up the news segment. Don't forget, this is talk radio. If anybody wants to call in, you can call in at 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. Or you could tweet me at Shane Plays, and I monitor both, and I'm happy to try to work in your questions or comments or war stories or what have you into the show. But anyway, the first piece of news I have, and you just got to go, I can't describe this. You have to go look. You have to find it on the internet or go to shaneplays.com and follow the link in the show notes. But there's an animated and Wired, I've got the article from Wired, but I saw it from several sources yesterday. There's an animated Star Wars The Force Awakens poster that, as Wired puts it, is a trippy nightmare. And they animated every element of the Force Awakens poster, and it just does crazy. Every element does. It's like a pinball machine on drugs. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to go check this out. It's like weird, but it's also incredibly creative. So go check that out. And then last, the countdown. We are less than 2 weeks. Star Wars The Force Awakens countdown is at 12 days. And if you're going to see it the night before, then like I've got tickets to on Thursday night, that's 11 days. So that wraps up the news segment. When we come back, hopefully, hadn't called in yet, but hopefully we're going to have Reese from Frontline Gaming to talk to us about Warhammer 40K. So let's hit the break, and when we get back, we will keep going with Shane Plays Radio, a journey into the things we love.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. Megawars.net.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, and we are back with Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. Well, we do not have our guest. I think that's the first time that that's happened in the history of Shane Plays Radio. They're out of California, so it's possible. I always try to make sure when I'm communicating with my guest to make sure that everybody's aware of the time difference. It's possible that there's been some confusion on the time difference because they did confirm last night they were going to call in and what time and that sort of thing. So I have a feeling maybe that is what has happened. So what I'm going to do in the tradition of Shane Plays Radio, which this is what happens anyway, you just don't usually know it, I'm going to flail around blindly and try to make it sound like the show is going well. So, and I always have fun doing it in the crazy slide down the avalanche. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What I was going to talk about today, and we still will if Reese from Frontline Gaming calls in, I was going to talk about Warhammer 40K, which is it's from like 1987. It's been around for 30 years now almost. There was a Warhammer fantasy miniature combat game, war gaming, and then Warhammer 40K kind of came out of that, which is it's set in like a dystopian future. And then Warhammer 40K is still going, and Warhammer fantasy gaming has actually ended fairly recently, and there's it's got like another name now. So I don't know if they've kind of just renamed it and it's still as strong as it was or what, but it's a Warhammer 40K, and Warhammer is always fascinating me. I've never really had a chance to play it. I think I played it once about 20 years ago and I got absolutely trounced. And I've never played it since. I want to, I just haven't had time. And I was really looking forward to talking to Reese about tell us more about the game. And they have a Twitch channel. You can go to shaneplays.com and see the link to their Twitch channel and their store and all that. And they run like once or twice a week. They broadcast live games of playing Warhammer, and I really enjoy watching it. So hoping to, one of these days get a chance to play. Now, one of the things I did want to mention about Warhammer, I was going to do this anyway, but I'll go ahead and do it now. Game Goblins, who's one of our show sponsors, we appreciate very much. In fact, they just renewed, and they said they're very happy with things, and I'm very happy with that. So thank you, Josh, and Jeremy, and all the other crew. I think Stephanie and all the crew over there at Game Goblins. But Game Goblins does have Warhammer products, and they wanted me to make sure to let you know that they have a Betrayal at Calth, that CALF box set, which I guess is an easy way or whatever to just kind of, you get everything you need in one box, and you just kind of jump in and start playing and kind of enjoying the game without, needing to reinvent the wheel to learn how to play the game. And they also want to let you know that there's 20% off special orders that are Games Workshop web exclusives. Now, Games Workshop is the company that makes Warhammer. So I guess if there's Games Workshop web exclusives, if you order them through Game Goblins, you'll get 20% off. So, and also remember that if you're a first-time customer, if you mention Shane Plays, you can get $10 off your order of $50 for more. So we'll hear more about Game Goblins here before the show's over with, but wanted to make sure that you know about that. So here's what I'm going to do. Maybe if Reese doesn't call in, maybe we can reschedule him for another show or something like that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open it up, for open lines. We could talk anything geeky. If you think that your left toenail is geeky, even though I may not agree, you can call in and try to make your case that that's geeky. But anything geeky, TV shows you're watching, comic books you're reading, games you're playing, thoughts on the Game Awards, anything that you want to talk about, that's 501-823-0965. You can also call me, or not call me, you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays. Tweet me at Shane Plays or call at 501-823-0965. We'll make it open lines. I've been wanting to have an open line show anyway for quite a while. Just had so many guests lined up, I haven't gotten around to it. So I guess I'll talk about some comic books I've read. I've actually been wanting to talk about this anyway, so I'll just take advantage of the extra time. You know, I read a lot of comic books. I've been getting pretty heavily back into comic books after being, like, for several years, the way I kept up with my comic books was to go into the store, or not the store, the library, and get the trade paperbacks. Now, I could kind of keep up with what was going on in the comic world, but I was always behind, a few months behind. And, of course, they don't have everything. So here, the past year or so, I've been getting back into going to the store and picking up my comics. You know, of course, I go to the collector's edition, North Little Rock, also owned by, or same, you know, Michael Tierney from the comic book store in Little Rock, who's also a show sponsor. You know, going in, I love browsing the rack and see what's out there, the shelves and all that, and give them stuff. But I'll tell you, some of the stuff I've been reading lately that I've really been enjoying. One is Astro City. And I would have used to say Kurt Busiek, but after kind of talking with him on Twitter a little bit, it's Kurt Busiek, like music. And Kurt Busiek, of course, has written Avengers and some cool, he did the JLA Avengers crossover, and he's written just a lot of great, he did Marvels, you know, one of the very first Alex Ross comic books back in the 90s was Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. And if you don't know who Alex Ross is, he's just an amazing comic book / artist / painter, and he's just really amazing. His stuff still blows me away. But the first time I saw it, I mean, it blew everybody away, that Marvel's limited series. But Kurt Busiek has had for, I think, 20 something years. In fact, I think maybe it just had its 20th anniversary. He's done this series called Astro City, and I read it here and there, and I never really got into it. But for some reason, I picked up, it was like Astro City. It's been about a year now, maybe. I picked up like Astro 16 or 17, and it just hooked me. And I was like, wow, this is really good stuff. So I've really been keeping up with it. The art's great. The storylines are great. It is a superhero comic, but it's really not about superheroes. It's about people and relationships and real, you know, not real stories, but they feel real. And just, you know, what happens when people come together, and, you know, the lives we live and that sort of thing. But don't get me wrong. I mean, there is superheroic stuff going on, and there's larger than life stuff, and there's, you know, but the stories are very human. And it's gotten to where I just really look forward to that every time it comes out. And there's a new one I kind of buy it, and then I kind of anticipate reading it. I don't just gobble it up. It looks like the new one, there's sort of his take on the Fantastic Four called The First Family. It seems like the issue, and every issue is different, you know, it covers different characters or whatever. But it seems like that it's about, if you're like from the alien culture's perspective, what happens when the Fantastic Four shows up? You know, are they the bad guys? You know, kind of thing. So it looks like it's going to be a really interesting read. Another thing I just read, and I'm really happy to say, DK3, The Master Race, which is the third series in the Dark Knight trilogy from I guess it's a trilogy now, from Frank Miller. Okay, The Dark Knight Returns back in the 80s was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It told the story of a future Batman who was kind of past his prime, coming out of retirement, and it just told a really amazing story. And in the 80s, I mean, it's still a great story, but in the 80s, it was like an atom bomb going off. It was just, wow. That, along with Watchmen from Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and of course, Frank Miller's Batman Year One, his run on Daredevil, some other, all that stuff really ratcheted up what comic books were and what comic book storytelling could be. Unfortunately, it also ushered in kind of this gritty era of comics, because the artists and writers that kind of jumped on the train missed the point. I guess they felt like the grittiness was the point, and it wasn't. The grittiness was an element, but not the point of what Alan Moore and Frank Miller were doing. But anyway, Dark Knight Returns was amazing. Then I don't remember what, I'd have to look it up, late 90s, early 2000s maybe, The Dark Knight Strikes Back, was it? Let me look this up real quick. It just wasn't that good. It Strikes Again. That's it. Dark Knight Strikes Again. Let's see when this came out. I'm not seeing a date on it. Hold on. Doing the handy dandy Wikipedia search. Oh, let's see here. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Anyways, late 90s, early 2000s. Let's see when it come out. It's a sequel to the 1986 miniseries. Yeah, between November 2001 and July 2002. 3-part miniseries. It just wasn't that good. Even though Frank Miller did it and drew it and all that, it just wasn't that good. There's a few good moments here and there, maybe. But overall, it was just not good. It was bad. I'll just say that, especially compared to how amazing the Dark Knight Returns was. And now DK3, The Master Race, is out. It just came out like last week or the week before. I just had a chance to read the first issue last night. Really good. I'm not saying it's as good as Dark Knight Returns yet because you have to take it as a whole. But great first issue. It felt like from the very first page, it felt like, okay, we're back. This feels right. Now, Frank Miller's writing it along with Brian, I'm going to say this name wrong, Arezzacello, or I'd have to go look it up. They're writing it. Somebody else is doing the art on it. I'd have to go look that up really quick. It should jump right to the front of my brain. They're a well-known artist. And it just seemed right from the very beginning. Good story. And it also has, in the middle, instead of having a backup story that, they put at the end of the comic, in the middle of the comic, sort of like its own little thing, was kind of a mini comic book, like not only mini for the shortness, but mini in the size, that was kind of glued in to the middle of it about the atom. And it just looked really good. I liked it a lot. Andy Kubert. Okay. Klaus Janson and Andy Kubert are doing the art on DK3, The Master Race. So if you had trepidations about Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, you're like, I hope it's not going to be Dark Knight Strikes Again. So far, it doesn't look like it is. Now it's an 8-issue series. And, so it could get better or it could get worse or whatever. But so far, I like it. It just feels right. It feels like we're back to, what the Dark Knight Returns kind of was. So, and I just hate to say it. I mean, Dark Knight Strikes Again was just not good. And I remember Frank Miller saying something that the whole rhythm got mad because he had to pull something and rewrite some stuff thematically because of 9/11 when the Twin Towers were attacked in the Pentagon, and also they were trying to hit the White House, but the passengers on that plane took that plane down. It's something he had to pull out of the book in order to. Because of that, I guess it was too close thematically. And so he went back and pulled it out and rewrote some stuff. But I just feel like that doesn't explain the overall, just how that book does not, artistically, I don't like it. The characters I don't like, it just doesn't do it. So, anyway, so hopefully we're back with DK3. I've also, continued to have been reading Secret Wars, the new Secret Wars, which was back from, back in the 80s. They had one of the big, bring all the superheroes together was this thing called Secret Wars, along with DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths. There were similar time frames. Well, Marvel over the past several months has been doing Secret Wars where they destroyed the Marvel universe and they also destroyed the Ultimate Universe. And then they brought patchwork pieces of different universes together to this thing called Battle World that's overseen by, he calls himself a god, Dr. Doom. And it's been really good. I've been really impressed with not only the main Secret Wars series, but also a lot of the spin-off stuff. Now, the spin-off stuff, side stories, if you will, are variable quality, but that's been pretty good. And, I've been pretty impressed with it, especially the main Secret Wars. I love the art and the storytelling and the plotting. Just like it a lot. So it could have been extremely gimmicky, but I think it's actually pretty good. So I recommend checking it out. And compared to DC's big, epic crossover, destroy the world and let's redo thing or whatever you call this, Convergence, it blows Convergence just out of the way. Convergence had a couple of good moments here and there, but overall it was a bit of a dud. Secret Wars has really, really been good stuff. So I would recommend that you check out Secret Wars as well. So remember, people, you can call in at 501-823-0965. That's 501. Cassie Parks is listening, and she writes for Pixel Dynamo, among other things. Go to pixeldynamo.com. She says she's listening now, and she thinks I should just definitely have an hour of puns. I'll see what I can do. Now that I'm on the spot, I doubt that I can do some good puns now that I'm on the spot. But I'll see what I can do, Cassie, and thanks for listening. But anyway, other comic books. Cassie, if you read, I know you read. I know you're a big Doctor Strange nut. So if you want to tweet me anything about Doctor Strange, either the comic book or the upcoming movie, I'll throw that out there. By the way, I'm not going to put Zach on the spot because Zach is kind of cloaking this episode. But you can just nod your head or shake your head. Are you looking forward to the Doctor Strange movie at all? You're not? Okay. See, Cassie does now not like you. So she's a major Doctor Strange. Even with Benjamin Cumberbatch, am I saying that right? Even with him, you don't want to see it? All right. Okay. I'll check it out because Doctor Strange has not been, I like him okay, but he's never been, my favorite character. But Doctor Strange is like Silver Surfer and a few other characters. There's people out there that are just rabid, just absolutely rabid about them. So there's a lot of people that are big on Doctor Strange. So we'll see how it comes out. And Zach, speaking of, we talked about last week, we had the Civil War trailer, Captain America Civil War trailer, and it features, I was jazzed to see Black Panther. Evidently, Black Panther is going to be a major part of the plot. So evidently, he's not just a cameo. But speaking of cameos, we already knew this, but it's been confirmed that Spider-Man is definitely, absolutely 100% in Civil War. We don't know how. We don't know why. We don't know for how long. But it was kind of an open thing everybody knew, but now it's been confirmed. So, which is cool. So we'll check it out. Because that's actually a pretty big legal thing between Sony and Disney on having Spider-Man in a Disney movie. Yeah. So that's pretty darn cool stuff. So here's what we're gonna do. Trying to think if there's any. Oh yeah, make sure to check out. Want to give out a shout out to the Breitweisers. They were on. It's Mitch and Betty Breitweiser. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm terrible with names, so I apologize. That's the name of the game there, Cassie. See, there's a pun for you. The name of the game is to be good at names on the radio. But anyway, all right. Yeah, Zach just pantomime shooting himself in the head. So that means it was a good pun. It was a good pun. I wanted to, I think that there's a series called The Fade Out that Betty, they've been on the show, Mitch and Betty. It's called The Fade Out, and I think that's wrapping up. Evidently, she did an amazing job on the coloring on that. And then Mitch has been look up Mitch Breitweiser on Instagram, and he's got this comic that he's working on called The Futurists. And it's like you can watch him from step A to step Z doing the artwork for this. So if you're into that kind of thing, go look up Mitch Breitweiser on Instagram and check that out. And by the way, Shane Plays is on Instagram too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, and Zach, I'm going to do the read for Game Goblins before the ad, or before the break. But when we come back, I'm going to wax poetic. I hope people don't have wax in their ears. See, there's another one. See, I hope they hear me and they don't, because of wax and anyway. All right, Zach, I'm sorry. I think there's some Advil in the drawer there, Zach. So, okay. When I come back, I'll talk about the geeky TV shows that I'm watching, including Supergirl, and do I like it or not? So when we come back. Now, first, Game Goblins. Oh, where's my Game Goblins at? Some goblins are your friends. I'm doing this from memory while I frantically look for the ad. Some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located at 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees, Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. You'll like that space because Game Goblins has gaming events every day of the week. For all of your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. Tell them Shane Plays sent you.
MegaWars.net. The classic online space strategy game is returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. megawars.net.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
Hey, we're back. Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. So I want to throw out, before the break, I was talking about comic books. I'm going to talk about TV shows. I'm going to do that, but I did want to throw out one more comic book. I'm reading a lot of good stuff right now. I mean, there's no way I could go through everything, but a comic book that grabbed my attention for being better than I was expecting. And I don't read just straight, Marvel, DC stuff, but I know the stuff I'm talking about on the show for the most part is. But they've been doing from IDW, which, by the way, IDW puts out some pretty cool stuff. The more I see their stuff, the more impressed I am. They put out a Green Lantern Star Trek crossover. And you're like, oh, this is going to be terrible. It's really pretty good. And they've done some pretty clever stuff with it. Some of the crew members are getting rings and, and that's not the clever. I don't know. There was just like a nice little moment where like Hal Jordan, and it should be stupid, but it just totally, it struck the right note with the geek in me. He makes a big Enterprise with his ring. And instead of NCC 1704, I think, which is the registration for the Enterprise, he does NCC 2814. Now, the reason he does 2814, anybody out there know why? Tweet me or call 501-823-0965, and I will do it. I will give out the answer before the end of the show. But that just struck the right geeky note with me. I loved it. So, okay, but got a few minutes here. I'll talk about some TV shows I'm watching. Two shows that I'm not watching, but that I want to. One is called The Man in the High Castle, and it's a free... if you have Amazon Prime, it's on Amazon, and it's an alternate history. What if the Germans or the Nazis had won World War II, and it shows like New York all Nazi'd up and all that stuff. And I'm hearing good things about that. And then another one is called Into the Badlands, I think. And that's on AMC. And it's this sort of futuristic, post-apocalyptic, almost like Western/samurai. So it's kind of like a Western, but there's like sword fights and all this stuff. So there's a guy at work who wants me to watch it because he's watching it and he made a talk with it about. So I'm going to check it out. So now some shows that I am watching. Now, Zach, I started watching Supergirl. Let me tell you why I'm watching Supergirl. Because my wife, Sheila, she's not strong in the geeky arts. Love her to death. Great woman. But she's not strong in the geeky arts. But she watched Daredevil, and she liked Daredevil on Netflix. So I'm like, Supergirl. I'm like, this could be a gateway TV show into further geekiness. So we've been watching Supergirl. She likes it. It's not bad. It's really not. Mark Raymer just walked in, folks. He'll be on following my show, The Best in Political Talk. Listen to the Mark Raymer Show. So hello, Mark. Good to see you. But yeah, it's actually not bad. Now, here's the deal. There are definitely moments in there that are meant for a female audience. It talks about things that women have to deal with that guys don't, etc. Cat Grant, who is the very mean boss of Supergirl's alter ego, we'll talk about, hey, in business, if you're women, etc., etc. And then there's just other things. And then there's the romance stuff, the love triangles and all that. And that's not really for me, right? It's not intended for me. But the fight scenes are good. The special effects are good. The plot lines are pretty good. It's got Maxwell Lord in it. The guy who does Maxwell Lord, for some reason, reminds me of Tom Cruise. I don't know why. I always tell Sheila, I'm like, this guy looks like Tom Cruise. She's like, what's his mouth? I don't know. I don't look at guys' mouths. I'm just saying. Let me clear the air there. Okay? I'm just saying for some reason he reminds me of Tom Cruise with the way he talks or his mannerisms or something. And they've got her working for some government agency that combats extraterrestrial threats and all. Yeah, whatever. But it's not bad. I actually kind of like it. Okay, now I don't like it as much as Flash, but I guess I like it better than Arrow because I never can seem to keep watching Arrow. Like I'll watch episodes of Arrow here and there, and I never stay with Arrow. Zach's giving me the look of what? You remember Different Strokes, Zach? What you talking about, Willis? That was the look you just gave me. Was the what you talking about, Willis? Well, my name's not Willis, Zach. My name's Shane, and this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that I like Supergirl. It's the cape for the escape. Oh, do you like that? There, you don't like that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. It's all Cassie Park's fault, asking me to do puns. I'll tell you what else we're watching. Of course, we're watching The Flash. They have the big Flash Arrow crossover this week. The Flash episode, there was just too much going on. I don't know if people watched it out there. I'm sure some people listening did. There was interesting stuff happening, but so much was going on. They packed like 3 episodes worth of stuff in this one episode. I just couldn't get into it. I mean, I got into it for because they're setting up the Arrow episode that followed the next night. So you had to know all that, but there was just too much going on. I was like, whoa, I just did not connect with that episode, but there was some neat stuff they introduced. Now the Arrow episode I enjoyed better because now they're paying off everything that's been set up. And that was pretty good. So the crossover as a whole was pretty good, but that Flash episode, if that had been a standalone episode, I would have been like, what? I just wasn't into it. And they've been doing some really cool stuff with the Flash. A couple episodes ago, they introduced Gorilla City, which is totally cool. They're not afraid to introduce elements from the comic books that some people might think that you can't do in a TV show, but they're doing a really good job of Flash. Yeah, when you gave me the look, Zach, I don't know, I just can't get into Arrow. I'll watch an episode here and there, but I just can't get into it. But that Merlin guy was pretty interesting. There was probably one of my favorite parts in the Flash part of the crossover, and minor spoilers here, people. I don't think there's any major spoilers here. You know how Merlin, Zach, always just kind of appears? Yeah. Well, the second time he does that, Barry's like, is that the only way the guy knows how to enter a room? And it was just really funny. I really like that part. And there was another part I liked with, and of course people, and this is no spoiler. I mean, if you've seen any previews, this also introduces Hawkman and Hawkgirl in the crossover, and they're setting up the Legends of Tomorrow, this team is traveling through time and fighting Vandal Savage, who I've always loved. Vandal Savage, I think he's a great villain. But I also like the scene in on the Flash part of the crossover when they're in like Oliver and Felicity's apartment. Have you seen it yet, Zach? Okay. All right, they get into a fight. And Ollie just rolls up on the dude. And I thought that was a pretty sweet scene, right? He just drops his bow and rolls up on him. I was like, that's pretty sweet. Because that's so different from Flash, right? Flash is like kind of a sniper kind of fighter. And Ollie's just like, I'm rolling in. I thought that was pretty sweet. Yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet. So what else am I watching that's geeky? I'm watching, of course, let's see, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is much better this season than last season. I love the first season. Second season was kind of meh. And then this season I like a lot better. The Inhuman stuff's pretty interesting, and Lash and all that. I wish they'd bring back Deathlock, though. I really like Deathlock as a character. I wonder what else that people, if anyone wants to call in, 501-823-0965, or tweet me and tell me what you're watching. I'll give you a shout out. But believe me, I can flap. If there's one thing I can do is flap my lips, Zach. I can just flap my lips, and I'm going to keep doing it. What else am I watching? Gotham. Gotham is just dark, and it has moments where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to keep rolling with Gotham or not. But it's absolutely ridiculous and over the top. If you try to watch it as a normal cop show, it won't work because it's just so over the top and ridiculous. If you realize, hey, this is over the top, it's half comic book, then you can get into it. And you have to. I know people. I've heard people complain because they're like, but they're doing all this stuff that's not supposed to happen yet because of Batman. You got to kind of put that off to the side. Right, you can't have a really strict Batman continuity from the comic books and put it on the show because there's some stuff that is like that probably wouldn't have happened yet. And Bruce Wayne is only 12 years old in the show at this point. So, but if you can get past that, it's a unique show. It's an interesting show, but it does get dark. It gets very dark. I guess another big geek news show right now is Jessica Jones, which released all the episodes of, a couple of weeks ago on Netflix. I'm going to warn people right now, based on what I know in the comic books from Jessica Jones and from what I've heard people say and whatnot, I don't think it's outright like X-rated or maybe even super R-rated or anything like that, but it's going to be a little bit more adult than your other, probably even more so than Daredevil was. Daredevil got pretty rough in a couple of spots with the violence. It's a noir. It's almost like a, gumshoe noir kind of show. It can get pretty grim. I think it's interesting. It's got David Tennant in it, who of course played the 10th Doctor. By the way, I haven't finished this series yet of Doctor Who, but once again, I like Capaldi as the Doctor, and the script seems stronger this season than they did last time. But yeah, so Jessica Jones is out. That show also introduces Luke Cage, and that is another show that's coming to Netflix. Is Luke Cage, who of course is Power Man from the comic books. Power Man, Iron Fist, Heroes for Hire, and all that stuff. So, and of course, The Walking Dead I watch, which surprises me because I've tried to get away from the gore in the past few years. But the storytelling on The Walking Dead is just really super strong. Now, I will say that the mid-season finale that they just did was a bit lackluster, in my opinion. But I'm not, if I watch something, I watch it. I don't base it, on just one episode. Every series, is going to have dud episodes now and then. Now, I see people tweeting about Z Nation, and they seem to like it. I watched like half an episode of Z Nation like a year ago, and I thought it was terrible. So maybe I just happened to catch a bad episode. I don't know. I may give it another chance because I see people enthusing about it. And another show I want to catch up with out there is called Orphan Black. I've heard nothing but good stuff about Orphan Black. But all right, we're coming up on the end of the show. Sorry that we were supposed to have Reese from Frontline Gaming talking about Warhammer 40K. Maybe we can get that rescheduled. I suspect that the time difference is what's thrown things off here because he's in California. That would be my guess because, as late as last night, he was like, yeah, I'll be there. Looking forward to it. So We will work that out. The Hal Jordan Green Lantern Enterprise being NCC 2814 is, of course, 2814 is the space sector that Hal Jordan has the responsibility to patrol as being the space cop Green Lantern that he is. But as we draw the show to a close, remember next week, going to have Bill Breckin setting in for me. And his guest will be John Ostrander, who has written like The Spectre and some Star Wars and Suicide Squad. He's written a lot of comic books. I'm actually kind of jealous I'm not going to be here for that one. We'll wrap up here with the tweet of the week. And the tweet of the week is from Kurt Busiek. And it was Blue Skies from Pain. And I saw that tweet and I was like, oh, that's so poetic. That is really cool. So I said, oh, I have no idea what that means. But I love the poetic feel of it. And some other guy chimed in and said, oh, that's lyrics from Pink Floyd. And it turns out it's lyrics from Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, which is a really, really nice song. Been listening to it a lot the past couple of days, grooving back on some Pink Floyd. And finally, don't forget that we are carried on Krypton Radio. KryptonRadio.com is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. Make sure to check that out. And here's some more lyrics from Wish You Were Here, and then we will catch you next week. Thanks so much for listening. And did you exchange a walk-on part in the war for a lead role in a cage? Think on that one. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to Shane Plays.